At the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, it was Hamilton who shocked the crowd by going quickest of all, 3/100ths quicker than Sebastian Vettel, who has dominated the Saturday sessions for the majority of this 2018 season. The other McLaren of Stoffel Vandoorne is a few positions off Lewis, down in 4th, behind Pierre Gasly, the Frenchman out-qualifying his teammate once again with aarava poised to be sat just behind on row 3. Meanwhile, Daniel Ricciardo was only 2/10ths slower than his German teammate, but with the top 10 separated by less than half a second, it meant P6 for the Australian. Max Verstappen grabbed P7 well ahead of his teammate Wehrlein in P10, but Giovinazzi was only 1,000th slower than Max's quickest time and has the benefit of Carlos starting alongside him in P9. Best of the rest, and with free choice of tires, it's Magnussen in P11, narrowly missing out on the top 10 in his Renault.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 MyDriver Career Mode Season 4 today, episode number 6 at the Canadian Grand Prix. And thank you guys so much for the support on the last episode. If you did miss it, you might have, because it was actually on the Friday gone past. It wasn't last Monday. That was actually episode number 4. Episode number 5 was uploaded on Friday, because now, if you didn't know, I'm coming towards the end of my university semester, so I'm starting to ramp these episodes up. We're doing every Monday and Friday now, and then later on, maybe in 2 weeks' time, we might even do 3 a week. So look out for that. But if you did miss the last episode, episode number 5 at the British Grand Prix, a fantastic episode, a crazy race, really topsy-turvy one with a lot of rain actually towards the end of it, then do go check out episode number 5. But we're here for the Canadian Grand Prix, one of my favourite circuits and places in the world to come to for the Formula 1 and in general, and I'm really looking forward to it. But and it should be certainly quite an interesting race. A lot of tyre wear here at Canada, surprisingly. Pirelli have changed a bit of the compounds a little bit. Tyre wear rates are a little bit higher than they usually are, so that's going to be a bit of a tricky situation for the entire grid to do. And also, we've got some very, very fast cars in the midfield behind us running low drag setup, so that's going to be quite a challenge today. You can see that the likes of McLaren and also my team Red Bull are slowly starting to ease that gap to Ferrari, in the first time in a while that Sebastian Vettel is not on pole position. But let's take you through the entire racing grid. I'll hand it over to Justin.
Let's take a look now at the starting grid for today's Canadian Grand Prix. It is Lewis Hamilton breaking the streak of Sebastian Vettel, grabbing that pole position for today's race. But Sebastian on the front row once again. He'll be starting alongside in 2nd position. Then comes Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull. He'll be starting ahead of aarava once again. Stoffel Vandoorne in 4th position. Daniel Ricciardo way down in 6th position. Unfortunate qualifying for him. Max Verstappen in the Mercedes will be starting from 7th. He's joined on the 4th row by Antonio Giovinazzi. Then comes Antonio's teammate Carlos Sainz in 9th position, with Pascal Wehrlein rounding out the top 10. Kevin Magnussen will be starting from 11th, and with free choice of tires, he's got Leclerc alongside him for Alfa Romeo. Then comes his teammate Schumacher and Nico Hülkenberg a few positions off of Magnussen, down in 14th position. Nico Rosberg for the Audi team starts from 15th. He'll be joined on that row by Romain Grosjean for the Haas. Then comes Sirotkin and Perez in 17th and 18th positions, respectively. Then Newgarden and Bottas. And finally, bringing up the rear of the grid, we've got Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll in the Williams.
So that's how the grid shapes up today for the Canadian Grand Prix. Let's get straight into it. From P5 on the grid, we go to 5 red lights for the 6th round of the season. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. It's a pretty decent start from us. Vettel again has bogged down. The Ferrari car up ahead has not had a great start. Ricciardo's had a pretty decent one. We go side by side into turn 1. We've got Vandoorne going round the outside of Vettel, just about makes it. Gasly in P2. Hamilton still keeps it in P1, but it's been a pretty bad start from Vettel, and the virtual safety car has been called out because there has been an incident behind us. So immediately the race is neutralized. Everything's calmed down a little bit. Let's take a look at the start and see if we can see what actually happened behind us, and also get a look at the start from Vettel here. Just completely bogs down. Gasly gets him straight off the line, and obviously we saw Vandoorne there, you can see, going down the inside into turn 1. We go side by side with Ricciardo, and we go around the outside similarly to Vandoorne. But behind us, I think it must have been one of the back marker cars, or just one of the general midfield cars that had a spin here. So let's take a look. Down the inside, we've got, I think, the Sirotkin, or one of the Audis at least, getting spun around by the Alfa Romeo on the back of their rear wheel. So they kind of caused a bit of a traffic jam there. And you can see 5 cars all parked in the apex. So that's why the virtual safety car got called out. But we move on now to the end of the virtual safety car period. The green flag is go, and we're right behind Sebastian Vettel. We closed up right to him, and we'll try and get a move right now on the Ultra Softs that will wear out quite fast, so we need to get a move on and try and use all the grip we can straight away. And we are past Vettel with pure slipstream right behind him, so he's had a slow start because now Ricciardo is ahead of him. So immediately Vettel was at least a few positions, I think it was 3 or 4 positions ahead of Ricciardo, and now he's 2, and now it might be 3 because he gets attacked by the Toro Rosso of Giovinazzi. I think that is into turn 1, so they go side by side. Look at that, Giovinazzi just tries to get him, but I think Vettel's going to keep that 6th place for now, and we're up into 5th trying to chase down Ricciardo here. Or moving on to lap 2 on the back straight, trying to catch Ricciardo in the straight. Obviously DRS not activated yet, but look at this, Gasly goes for a move on Stoffel Vandoorne. They go side by side into the chicane. This is actually going to slow them all down, and Ricciardo gets bogged down as well. We've got a great exit off the corner, go to the left hand side of Ricciardo trying to get through, but we get nearly squeezed into the wall by Vandoorne. They go 3 wide up ahead, and Gasly just about keeps it ahead of Ricciardo, goes round the outside into turn 2, you can see, and just about keeps P2 that will be, and Ricciardo is now up into P3. Vandoorne is down to 4th place, so after trying to make a move, or defend rather, from Gasly for P2, he's now down to P4, but Vandoorne getting very, very close to squeezing me right into that wall on the left-hand side. But we move on now to lap 3, and finally DRS is available to us. We're going to get the slipstream of Vandoorne just like Ricciardo's got in Gasly. Ricciardo cleanly past Gasly. Gasly's locked up, a major lock-up for Gasly. He bogs down, slows us both down. We go side by side still with Stoffel, and we try and overtake him now up into P4. We'll move to the left, very, very close stuff on the left-hand side. We'll go round the outside of him, and we'll get it done even before the first braking zone is over, and we're now up into P3, but that was very, very close stuff. And Gasly, quite a spectacular lock-up, you must say, into the last chicane. That was quite weird, and we nearly smashed into him, so we had to stay side by side with Vandoorne for longer than I would have liked. But anyway, we'll now try and get a move on and try and catch up to Daniel Ricciardo. But first, we'll take a look at this replay of that move and just see this very, very strange set of corners. We've got Ricciardo overtaking Gasly there. He gets squeezed out. He must have been flustered because he locks up big time into the last chicane. We go side by side with Vandoorne through that entire time, and me and Vandoorne both take some curbing on our respective sides to make that move happen. And then we go on the left-hand side of Gasly, just about squeezed through, and you can see behind us, we've actually got Giovinazzi going side by side still with Vettel. You can just about see at the bottom of your screen, there go side by side, and Vettel squeezes the Italian out for now, but we're in P3. Gasly looks to be in actually P5 as Vandoorne goes down the inside of him. They go side by side through that chicane, and Gasly actually just comes out there in P4, so he just about gets it. But now we move on to lap 6, and now Giovinazzi is up into 4th place. He's made a move on. Obviously, we've mentioned before in the qualifying report that the midfield teams like Toro Rosso, Renault, and also Alfa Romeo are all running very low drag setups that are basically set up to overtake people on the back straight, not necessarily actually be fast in sector 1 and 2, and that means Giovinazzi is now ahead of us. You can see I locked up in the previous corner in that hairpin just before this back straight, so I think it's time for me to come in for the pit stop. Might be a little bit early compared to these guys around us, but I've really worn my tyres out fighting the likes of Vandoorne and Vettel, so I think it's for the best. You know, once Giovinazzi started closing up, I think that was a kind of a sign in my head that we need to pit, because obviously he might be fast in sector 3, but we should be making up the time in sector 1 and 2, and that wasn't the case there with the worn tyres. So we're setting on a set of soft tyres, this will be. So this weekend, Prix have changed the compounds a little bit in terms of the way they wear around calendar, and for Monaco next time as well. And so the tyre wear is a lot more than you would normally expect. Usually you maybe expect maybe a 1-stop or a 2-stop as maybe maximum here at Canada, but we're looking at maybe perhaps a 3-stop here at Canada as a standard kind of strategy. So we're going to have to look out for that and be wary of the tyre wear. But we're looking at a replay now, because as we came out of the pits, there was a yellow flag, and this is why Vettel being attacked by, I think this is Verstappen in the Mercedes. I think that's Verstappen because Verline's back behind, but you can see Charles Leclerc having no qualms making a move on the German, but doesn't get it right. Vettel was completely focused on making that move down the inside of Verstappen, or rather defending from him down the inside. That Charles Leclerc just got squeezed into the apex, and much like at the very start where Sorokin got spun out, or at least one of the Audis, I'm not too sure if it was Rosberg or not, but just like one of the Audis at the start, he got spun out round into turn 1, so that's really unfortunate for him. That's why the yellow flags were out. But now we move on to lap 7, towards the end of lap 7 rather, and we're going to make a move down the inside. Pretty easy stuff on the Haas F1 car. Obviously Haas have not been too great their first season in F1, this will be, and they're not doing too great so far, and so that was a pretty damn easy move on Newgarden up into what will be now 14th place as we come through with some people in the pits. And Giovinazzi is out of the race. Giovinazzi is out of the race. Yellow flag's up ahead, so we'll actually see where he crashed out, looks like, into turn 2, or the exit of turn 2. We're right behind Stroll, but we can't overtake him now because due to the yellow flags. And look at that. Oh, Gasly. Gasly's maybe out of the Grand Prix. Looked like he was at least backwards. And it looks like the two kind of Red Bull family teammates have crashed out. That is going to be a little bit controversial, I think, because Giovinazzi and Gasly, that is, yeah, I think we're going to see Christian Horner and the Red Bull guys look at that, because if Giovinazzi has crashed Gasly out or vice versa, that's going to be something to look at. But we make a pouncing move down the inside of Stroll, make the apex beautifully, and we're up into P11 there. So nice move. We need to get a move on these soft tires, use the good grip we've got. But let's take a look at the replay and see who is to blame here for this incident, because this is going to be very, very iffy, because, you know, two kind of, as I said, two Red Bull family cars. Oh, it's, smoking engine from that is a very weird crash. That is a very weird crash. We can see Giovinazzi loses the engine there, so the Renault engine goes up in flames, and that is so weird. Looks like Gasly was so close to Giovinazzi's gearbox that he smashed into Gasly as he pulled off on the right to kind of retire there. So let me know in the comments below whose fault you think that is, because I'm actually not too sure, because you could say Giovinazzi didn't do great of a job to get out of the way, but also Gasly should have been wary once he started seeing the smoke there. But we move on to lap 9 towards the end of it, on towards lap 10 by the time we cross the line. We make the move on Sergio Perez in his Force India, and we're up into 8th place, but it's not over yet, because Perez gets some great slipstream. That Mercedes car has probably been set up for low drag to try and get the best out of it at Sector 3 there, and he's trying to make a move down the inside into Turn 2, and he actually nips the nose. Side by side we'll go on the exit here, so it's not over yet. We have to try and go round the outside into this chicane. We'll just about make it there, just about make the apex, and Perez gets squeezed out for what will be 9th place. But yeah, the Mercedes engines, obviously you can see, struggling this weekend, and really this is the first time we've really seen the big weakness from them, as they're really not performing well against some of the midfield cars, you would say, against Alfa Romeo, the likes of Renault as well. So they're not doing too great of a job. But Perez setting himself up for some low drag on Sector 3. We can see we're ending a virtual safety car, because that was Pascal Wehrlein on the left-hand side. You could see there, stricken on the left-hand side out of this Grand Prix. So that's why the virtual safety car was called out there. But now we're on to the ending period as the green flag is going. There's still some yellow flags out, though, because of Pascal Wehrlein still stranded there in that final sector. But you can see Ricciardo's going to try to make a move on the Renault here of, I think, Kevin Magnussen. We go into the chicane, and once again, Magnussen gets squeezed out. We make the switchback move, and that was a lovely little move. It was like a choreographed kind of move there, as we kind of go right and then switch back left as Magnussen gets stricken into the apex of that second part of the chicane. And so we're up into 4th place, trying to chase down Ricciardo. A little note there, we are very, very close to Ricciardo. You remember Ricciardo was in 2nd place, trying to chase down Hamilton, and there's quite a sizable gap to Ricciardo. So we've done well to actually use these soft tires to close up to Ricciardo. And now, speaking of him, he makes a move on Hulkenberg, and he actually slows down Hulkenberg here, and basically need to thank him here, because he makes a very nice, easy move for me on Hulkenberg, because he slows him down right treat into that chicane in the 3rd sector. So now we can try and get some DRS and slipstream on the Australian, try and close up on him. But by lap 16, he's getting the move on there, and we actually come in for our 2nd pit stop. So I feel the tyres are wearing again, so I feel like that it's time to make another undercut pit stop. You can see also, visually, the gap to Ricciardo is so long, so I just thought, yeah, we're losing too much time to Ricciardo there now, you know, once he's made that move and it is in clean air. So we need to get a move on with the undercut pit stop, just showing that even though Ferrari may be closed down by the likes of McLaren, even us in the Red Bull team, with Gasly doing quite well in qualifying, Red Bull still have the kind of ability to turn on the wick there in clean air and just get away from me quite easily. But we come out right behind Stoffel Van Dorn, this will be. So it looks like, I'm not actually too sure. I don't know if Van Dorn's already made a 2nd pit stop. I don't think so. So in all of this, I think we're quite ahead of Van Dorn here. This must be, if he's not made his 2nd pit stop yet. Although I think Van Dorn went quite long into the first stint, but we now make the move, surprisingly, without DRS. I think our DRS might be disabled for now, because we were definitely within 1 second, but we didn't have DRS there, so I think it might be disabled for now, so hopefully that will come back to us. But we tried to make a move on Van Dorn into the last chicane, didn't quite work out. He actually did a great job on outbraking us around the outside there, so we'll go into Turn 2, right up his gearbox, and just try and close up to him, and see if we can maybe make the move in Sector 1 or 2 perhaps. We'll come on through to the end of Sector 1 here, through the chicane. We'll still close up on him. We got Vettel right behind us in P7 actually. So at the moment it looks like Hamilton's leading the way with Ricciardo in P2. I think obviously Gasly's crashed out, so I'm not actually too sure who's in P3 down to P5. It might be the likes of The Renaults, the Alfa Romeos, I did say they're doing pretty damn well, but obviously everyone's out of sync a little bit, especially me, because I've made the very, very early pit stops for both my pit stops. And on to the very next lap, you can see I've still not got DRS, so we try and make a move anyway, down the inside, side by side, and this time looks like it might be more successful as we keep it around the outside on the exit of that corner, and we're up into P5. You can see Van Dorn's been squeezed out and actually slowed down so much that Vettel is now up into P6. He's made that move as they go into turn 1, so Vettel getting a move on there with his fresh soft tyre. So now we move on to lap 21 a few laps later, and we're getting hustled and harried now by Nico Hülkenberg, who's made his second pit stop. He's onto super soft tyres, and my tyres are really wearing out. And on the exit off that corner, look at that. We didn't even get any kind of oversteer or anything like that. Hülkenberg just got a beautiful exit, and also Magnussen. The two Renaults are working an absolute treat on the traction there in Sector 2, and Hülkenberg is up into P4. Now Magnussen will go around the outside and left on the right hand side, and he'll go up into 5th place. We're down to 6th place, the place we originally were before these two Renaults made their pit stop. So the two Renaults are working an absolute treat here. We go side by side with Magnussen, trying to stay with him, but it's no use. But we'll get DRS though. I don't think he'll get DRS, or he might do actually. So we're going to try and close up on him, but he's on ultra softs, remember, and Hülkenberg's on super soft. So it's good to note that even though we may have been overtaken by these two Renaults, they're on the softer tyres and they're on the faster tyres. But you can see Magnussen, much like Gasly before, a very weird lock-up into the last chicane. We tried to maybe see if we close up on him. We actually make him a diving move down the inside of Magnussen. We caught him napping there, and we go around the outside, and we're going to try and get P5 back from him. And you can see behind us, Van Dorn and the likes of Vettel are closing up as well. So we need to get a move on, but Gasly sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Obviously, he's very out of sync of this Grand Prix, trying to get a move on, trying to get a place back, because obviously he lost a heap of time to that crash with Giovinazzi. But on lap 24, you can see a huge tank slapper from us on the exit. Magnussen's round, and now Van Dorn will go around the outside. We're going to go side by side with him, and we'll just about squeeze him out there, and he'll get backed up into Vettel. But again, we get tank slapper, and so Van Dorn will be right behind us. You can see the tyre wear is very, very poor on the rear tyres, is why we're getting so many tank slappers now on the exit of these corners. These soft tyres really aren't going the distance, and Magnussen now jets off into the distance on his ultra soft tyres. And so now we've got to worry about maybe Van Dorn as we move on to lap 25, though I think it's time for our final pit stop, actually another pit stop, our third stop of the race. And now we're going to come on to a set of super soft tyres. So we're using the entire set of tyres, ultra softs at the start, 2 sets of softs, and now the red set of super soft tyres. So again, trying to get an undercut here, and hopefully this will work out. But we can see a lot of Toro Rossos, I think the McLaren there and the Ferraris going past, so they're all fighting away. And there's Gasly, actually. Gasly, we finally see him again in this race, so it looks like we'll just about come out ahead of him. And Gasly trying to catch up to that Audi car, which you don't think I was going to say at the beginning of this race, but Gasly, unfortunate, losing so much time there. But we're out in 13th place, so not too bad actually, considering we're making a very early pit stop. Out in 13th place, and we're actually behind Van Dorn, who made an earlier pit stop than us. So Van Dorn actually made an earlier undercut compared to us, and he's on the ultra soft tyres, so he's getting a move on. He's overtaken Ocon and also this Toro Rosso here up ahead of, I think, Sainz, I think it must be. But we get a good exit on Esteban Ocon. Let's try and make a move on this Force India. We have the speed in a straight line on the engine power down the inside. He's on worn soft tyres, and so we're up into P12. We can get a move on to try and close up to Carlos Sainz and ultimately catch up to Van Dorn, because he's getting a move on in this traffic on his set of ultra softs. We need to do the same thing on these super softs. We go into the first chicane. You can see Perez has been squeezed out by Van Dorn. Van Dorn's got around the outside of him, slowed him down. He slows down Sainz, and now we're going to try and go around the outside. Look at this brake, great grip around the outside of both those cars. 2 moves, 2 overtakes in the span of 1 chicane. Lovely stuff. And now we're on the back of Van Dorn. So Van Dorn actually helping us out there. He's trying to get away from us, but he actually kind of completely parked it on the apex of the first chicane and slowed down both Perez and Sainz there inadvertently. And so we went outside very, very easily. A lot of grip on that outside there. And I think it was Perez who locked up as well. That did help us out. So now we're right behind Van Dorn. We should get DRS, I think, on this back straight. So let's see. But he's got a great exit, actually, with the ultra softs. Getting some great traction. But let's see. We're going to have DRS right now. So let's see if we can close up to the McLaren guy and try and make a move into the chicane. It's going to be a bit too far, so actually we'll have to wait until turn 1, but we should get a pretty good entry and exit to the chicane. And now we'll get a second bite of the DRS, thankfully, and let's see if we can make the move. We're going to go to the right hand side of the circuit. Van Dorn's going to squeeze us a little bit into the grass, but we'll just make it around the outside, and we're up into P8, and we've made that move on Van Dorn, our very close rival. We've battled Van Dorn so many times again, and it's great to do that once more in Canada, but we're very easily up into 8th place now. We can try and get a move on, hopefully, and try and catch up to Leclerc, who looks like he's doing a great job. And it looks like he might end up actually being ahead of us, because on lap 30, with 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix, we're not actually catching Leclerc enough here. But actually, no, he's made a move on the Mercedes car. He slowed down Verstappen. Oh, how close was that to our right rear tyre? We just about get the move on Leclerc. And now Van Dorn, though, uses the lack of momentum I've got. He goes down the inside, and yet again, we'll have to defend around the outside into the inside of turn 2. And we're up into P6. So I did say Leclerc looked like he was getting a move on. We couldn't actually catch him, but he made a move on Verstappen down the inside of the chicane. Slowed them both down. It was oh so close, if you could see there on the right hand side, to actually smashing into the rear of him. So that was really, really good. But we now move on later on, and Van Dorn has overtaken us into the chicane. My tyres are starting to wear out a little bit. I'm hoping that Van Dorn's tyres go out even more. But we've now got Verstappen making a very aggressive move down the inside. We lock up, and Leclerc now goes down the inside, puts his nose in. Thankfully, we do get ahead of him, but Verstappen has kind of come out of nowhere in this Grand Prix to fight with us and Van Dorn. He's got the move, so we'll have to come back at him with DRS. He's got DRS, though, on Van Dorn, so it looks like we might have to kind of stick behind him and wait for this move, because now Verstappen closes up quite a lot there in the braking zone on Van Dorn. So maybe he'll make a move on Van Dorn. We can use that to our advantage. But at the moment, out of nowhere now, we're fighting the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes car. When I thought it was just going to be the McLaren car, we go into turn 1, and we'll move later on now onto the end of lap 32. Will Verstappen make a move? No, he won't, so I'll make a move now. We dive down the inside. This is crucial, and we make a clean sweep move there, actually. We make the apex very nicely, and we're up into P7, so that was a very nice move. And so Verstappen is now left to fight with Leclerc and struggling there, and we can get a move on now with only 3 laps to go, including this lap, to try it and re-overtake Van Dorn for what will be around, I would say, maybe P5, I think. Unfortunately, we've got yellow flags, though, up ahead, so we actually can't overtake Van Dorn, and Hulkenberg is out of the race, and I think Hulkenberg was ahead of all of us, so this will be him. Oh, he's into the wall of champions. Hulkenberg crashed out into the wall. He's not a champion himself, but he's into the wall of champions, and so now we can use that to make a move on Van Dorn as the green flags go, and we're around the outside yet again into turn 1, make a quite identical move like the one we made earlier. But let's take a look at what happened to Nico Hulkenberg here. So he's actually closing up on, I would say, probably a back marker of the Audi, because I'd be very surprised if the Audi was up here in what would be nearly a podium position. And Hulkenberg goes down the inside and gets spun round on the rear tyre of the Audi, and so he's left there to kind of sit, and I wonder where the actual crash is, because he's not actually into the World Champions yet, but he's trying to get round, and I'm suspecting probably a car comes and hits him here as he tries to make a kind of a maneuver. Oh my god, Mick Schumacher just comes out of nowhere and RKOs him into the Wall of Champions. What a funny sight that was. So Hulkenberg out of this race. Lewis Hamilton's won the Grand Prix, but it's the last lap of the Grand Prix. His teammate goes round the outside of the chicane, and it's a last chance to make this move for him. But actually, I let him through on purpose because I want to get the DRS on Sector 3 down the back straight. So Van Dorn, for the moment, up into P5, but we're going to try to make the move. We've locked up on the right tyre, but we've got right up into his gearbox there. Bit of an oversteer moment, which is unfortunate, but we'll get the good exit and try and get the DRS wide open. This will be the final chance as we go towards the final 2 corners of this race on lap 35. Hamilton's won the race. Can we get P5? This will be. We dive down the inside, do or die stuff down the inside, over the curb. Van Dorn still goes side by side. I leave him the room there, enough room there to make the move. And so Van Dorn just goes down to 6th place. We just chug across the line in 5th place as we run out of fuel. And looks like Vettel just about got Van Dorn there. Look at that. So Vettel proving why he's still leading this championship, because even though he's gone down the order there compared to his teammate and just the rest of the grid, he's still just kept it going and just nicked the 6th place just at the end there. But Hamilton wins the Canadian Grand Prix fantastically there. I think that's his first win of the season. Ricciardo comes 2nd, and in 3rd place, Kevin Magnussen and the Alfa Romeo of Mick Schumacher in 4th place. Very, very surprising. And just as we said at the beginning, obviously the midfield teams set up for low drag, and they just done the job. But look at that. Newgarden has got points in his F1 race. I think that's his first point of the season by doing a 1-stop. Well, I did a 3-stop. Lots of people did 3 stops and even 4 stops. But Newgarden managed a 1-stop. That is absolutely amazing from the American to get a one-stop working and get points that way. That's fantastic. Unfortunately for me, Gasly, my teammates, not scored any points off that crash with Giovinazzi, so that will be looked at after the race. Unfortunately, that's a really, really poor incident. But Vettel still leads the way after this race from 8 points to me in second place. Ricciardo now in third place. Hamilton moves up into fourth ahead of Gasly on 72 points. So the top four very, very close, actually, kind of closing up on each other as Gasly now kind of loses some points there. So goes from third to fifth there in the span of one race. Van Dorn in sixth, still not very consistent. Very, very surprising. You know, Van Dorn is a world champion. He won the championship in 2016, but it's very, very surprising to see the lack of form he showed. Usually, he's actually absolutely walked the floor with Hamilton, but now in 2018, Hamilton's got the upper hand on Van Dorn so far, and you can see Verstappen there behind him, behind Van Dorn in the standings. As we move on to the constructors, Ferrari's still in first place. They extend their lead a little bit here at the Canadian Grand Prix. We're still in second place, but McLaren now close up to us and get into the 100 marks with third place there. Mercedes still in fourth, but Renault, crucially, have overtaken Toro Rosso in the constructors. So the works team, Renault, finally made improvements. So Toro Rosso may have been lightning fast at the start of the season, but obviously that just shows what having a works team does for you. You can have a lot more rapid development compared to the kind of custom-made teams. But anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed that thrilling Grand Prix, smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, do subscribe for weekly F1 content. I've been over home to the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys next time.